A major power struggle appears to be underway between Israel's defense minister and the Israeli military after reportedly announcing on live television that he was replacing a top IDF general. Israel Katz is now allegedly walking back on his remarks even as the Israeli military reportedly refused to act on Katz's announcement. The standoff has triggered a political storm in Israel, fueled allegations of politicizing the military ahead of Israel's national elections in October, and raised questions about the balance of power between Israel's political leadership and its armed forces. The minister reportedly announced on Israel's Channel 14 that he had decided to appoint a new West Bank commander. He accused the current commander, Major General Avi Bluth, of defying his policy by trying to renew an administrative restraining order against a violent Israeli settler. According to Israeli media reports, Katz said Bluth and the military had acted, quote, contrary to my policy, and insisted that the IDF Central Command chief must follow the government's direction. He also said he wanted an IDF that delivers decisive victories, strikes its enemies and protects settlers, adding that IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir had already recommended Bar Khalifa for the post of Major General. But the IDF immediately rejected the announcement. The military reportedly said Bluth would remain in his position and stressed that the defense minister cannot unilaterally remove a senior commander. It also said the appointment had not followed established procedures. Under IDF rules, the chief of staff allegedly selects senior officers and the defense minister then approves those recommendations. Reports in Israeli media say Chief of Staff Zamir has now frozen senior military appointments until after Israel's October elections in an apparent attempt to shield the army from political interference. And the move is expected to keep Bluth in command for now. Facing mounting criticism, Katz later denied that he had fired Bluth. He insisted he had only announced his intention to advance Bar Khalifa's appointment through the proper process and accused critics of misrepresenting his comments. Former Israeli defense ministers reacted sharply to the issue on social media. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, and I quote, "The IDF is the shield of the state of Israel. Undermining the authority of commanders shakes the foundations of the army, and dragging the IDF into the political arena is playing with fire that endangers the state of Israel." Gallant also called Katz's televised move contemptible, saying it crossed a dangerous red line by undermining military commanders and dragging the IDF into politics. While former Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz warned that turning senior military appointments into campaign politics threatens Israel's security, adding that politicization of the IDF is not governance, it's a real danger. The confrontation between Katz and Bluth allegedly stems from a dispute over an Israeli settler suspected in a brutal attack on a Palestinian man after a court reportedly lifted restrictions on the settler. Katz instructed Bluth not to seek a fresh restraining order. Bluth and the military instead backed legal action to keep the restrictions in place, prompting Katz to accuse the general of ignoring his policies. That dispute has now escalated into one of the biggest confrontations between Israel's political leadership and military command in recent years. Settler violence has become a major issue in the West Bank. The United Nations recently warned the violence has hit an all-time high. International calls continue to grow towards ending Israeli occupation, which also includes recent condemnation from close ally United States. According to the United Nations, at least 18 Palestinians have died this year in attacks involving settlers. As Europe accelerates its efforts to strengthen its defenses amid the Russia-Ukraine war, citing the rising Arctic security concerns and growing geopolitical tensions, Denmark has begun a major expansion of its military conscription program. Nearly 1,600 Danish recruits have begun to enlist in the 11-month military service, which replaces the previous 4-month program. For the first time, the system includes both men and women under mandatory conscription, with Copenhagen planning to increase annual intake from 5,000 to 7,500 by the year 2033. The latest intake comes as Denmark prepares to deploy conscripts to Greenland later this month. More than 100 soldiers will take over operational duties from professional troops, reinforcing the strategically important Arctic territory. The deployment comes against the backdrop of renewed Russian security concerns and repeated calls by U.S. President Donald Trump for the United States to annex Greenland, a proposal firmly rejected by both Denmark and Greenland. The Danish armed forces are also modernizing trading with specialized trucks, including a drone platoon under the Special Operations Command, reflecting the changing nature of modern warfare. Across Europe, countries are increasingly revisiting compulsory military service as shrinking troop numbers and rising security threats reshape defense policies. At least 10 European Union member states currently maintain military conscription, including Austria, Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Greece, Latvia, Lithuania, Croatia, and Sweden. Among them, Denmark and Sweden require military service from both men and women, but several others continue to apply mandatory service only to men. Service periods vary widely, ranging from 2 months in Croatia to as long as 15 months in some countries. Several nations without compulsory service continue to rely on volunteer forces. Germany, for instance, has introduced mandatory military registration for eligible young men while retaining voluntary enlistment. Defense experts say recruitment challenges, declining troop strength, and the evolving security environment have prompted governments across Europe to rethink military readiness. As Europe confronts an increasingly uncertain security landscape, conscription is once again becoming a central pillar of national defense planning.